Hey guys, welcome back to Trade with Python. So something big happened 5 days ago. Zerodha, which is the largest broker in India, announced that any orders that will need to be placed via the API now need to have the mandatory TOTP login. TOTP is time-based OTPs. Now, they always had this feature, but it was kind of optional. You could just give your user ID, password, and your PIN, and then just log in into your account to generate that access token, request token, and then start firing orders, whatever your strategy is. But now you need to basically generate a time-based OTP, which is very strictly valid only for 30 seconds. Give it to Zerodha to log in, and then you'll be able to place your orders. If you don't do this, you'll still be able to generate that request token and access token and log in into the API. But when you are using the orders endpoint to place any orders, you will get an error message saying that you need to provide the TOTP and the PIN again, which is unpleasant, right? But they have apparently done this on the back of a circular from SEBI Cyber Security Regulations, which was released in December 2018. It is not entirely clear why they are suddenly making this change 3 years later in September 2021, and why the wider industry does not already, use TOTP if the regulator has made it mandatory. It's all not very clear, but according to their Kite forum, people have asked that same question, that why suddenly this is happening. And Zerodha's internal team has mentioned that they were getting a lot of questions by the regulator as to what steps they are taking to prevent users getting hacked, or how are they safeguarding their funds. And that's why they have introduced this new step of TOTP, which can be generated and is valid only for 30 seconds. This can easily be generated by a couple of apps like Google Authenticator, and there are a couple of more out there, but I generally use the Google Authenticator, where you can see that there is a time-based OTP that is being generated for Zerodha for my account. Of course, it adds a bit of inconvenience for the regular algo trader, because previously everyone in the industry uses Selenium hacks, where you automate the login process on the Zerodha login page as well, via Python, Selenium, and stuff. But now, if they're dependent on time-based OTP, someone will have to wake up every morning and enter that TOTP, and then start the algorithm, which is not good, right? I mean, especially for me, where I live in London, I cannot wake up at 4:30 a.m. every day to start my algorithm. So in this video, I'll show you a way how to automate the new login process. Quick disclaimer before I start, this is completely for educational purposes. If you decide to use this login flow, you are doing that on your own will. This video is not to flout any of the SEBI Cyber Security Guidelines. This is just for educational purposes, just to give users some idea as to how the Python library of PyOTP works, not to make anyone unhappy at SEBI or Zerodha. So yeah, let's get started. I recommend watching my videos at 1.5x. I generally take it slow, but 1.5x would be better. I will go through the whole process of creating this from scratch. You might already have already Selenium script ready made for you, which you want to modify a little bit. So look at the chapters added into the video, where I start talking about how the PyOTP works. Before that, I'll quickly build the Selenium part of it very quickly, so that everyone gets an idea. Anyway, so before I start, I need to install the relevant library. So I am activated into my virtual environment. So I'll just do pip install KiteConnect. And the library we'll be using to automate the PyOTP is, oops, sorry, let me just open it in another tab, because I have this code here for reference. We'll be using PyOTP. Time-based OTPs, TOTPs, are generally considered more secure than SMS OTPs, because maybe somebody has cloned your SIM card and now they have got access to your SMS OTPs, and they can log in into your account and do bad things. Whereas time-based OTPs will be linked to your, let's say, Google account. People will have to get into your phone via fingerprint or passcodes and then go to Google Authenticator, get that code, which is of course only valid for 30 seconds. So it's a little more sophisticated, I would say. So this is the library that we'll be using. Let's see if our KiteConnect is installed. So KiteConnect is installed. Let's install PyOTP. And then we'll install something called as undetected Chrome driver. This is like Selenium itself. It is actually a copy of Selenium, but what this handles for you is to download the latest version of Chrome driver automatically when you initialize the Chrome for the first time. You don't have to worry about version numbers, which generally you have to take care of in Selenium. So you just do pip install undetected Chrome driver. I already have that installed, but yeah, you can install them. Okay, so now we have that. Let's go to our environment to start creating the code. Sorry, let me close this email and let me just bring this here. Cool. So we'll do from kite connect import kite connect, then import undetected undetected Chrome driver as you see. Then we'll do the regular Selenium imports WebDriver wait and buy. We don't need the buy one actually. Then we'll do import time just to add some sleep time when we are getting the access code, and then we'll import the PyOTP module. And let's run this. Import time, comma PyOTP. Yep, so that worked fine, which tells me that there were no errors. Now, if I want to launch a new version of Chrome, so I'll just do driver uc.chrome. Now you'll notice we do not have the, actually we have the Chrome driver. Let me just delete it. I'll just run this. And what this will do is automatically go on the internet, download the latest version of Chrome driver, which it just did here, and then launch it in a new Chrome uh, browser for me. So let's see when that happens. It will take a bit of while because it's downloading it fresh. Once you download it, it wouldn't take that long again. Yeah, so now the Chrome driver version is open. It's empty. I mean, it's like there's nothing. So let's get the URL for login. So generally the login happens at, and I'm just copy pasting the URL from my GitHub code here. Give me a second. So generally the login happens at this particular URL. So kite.trade connect login API key. Now I need to give my API key here, which is, I need to find that API key, sorry. Let me just save this and open another workspace. And my API key would be, I'll just copy all of this because you're anyway going to see this. Sorry about this, guys. Where is my kite login? Yep. So I'll just add one more line here saying all the API keys. I'll just, please do not try to copy them. I'll anyway change them after the video, but even if you try, this is not gonna work. Okay, and oh, I need to give it the environment again. Okay, let me rerun this, open up Chrome again, and now the API key is Zerodha API key, and let's get this. Okay, so now you see just opened up uh, the uh, the URL asked it to open up, and this has generated a session ID. I just went till here. This tells you login to option buying because this API key is related to my option buying algorithm. But anyway, I'll basically what we need to do is now you need to like log in via the user ID, password, and login. We need to automate this whole flow. So let me just log in this manually and see what happens. So login, and then it asks me for the pin. So this is the current login workflow. 694469. And now basically it generates the request token which I need to initialize my kite object. This redirects to my website because I've added that when I was creating that API key. So let's just open this again. And let's try and automate the login ID and password first, and then we'll figure out how to enable the 2FA, TOTP 2FA. So let's just find the login ID. So login ID is equals to web driver wait. So WebDriver wait, what it does is it opens up that particular website and then waits for, let's say, 10 seconds or whatever time you give it here until it can find that particular field where we want to add the login ID. So let's say if we have got this, how do I find the XPath of the login ID? So I just do inspect by the user ID, do inspect again, and this is basically the field where you want to add your user ID. So copy this, copy the XPath of this, and then basically do lambda x dot find element by XPath, and then just add that XPath here. Then in the login ID dot send keys, I want to send my Zerodha user ID. Similarly for password, I'll just copy this code, WebDriver wait, where this is the password, and then password dot send key is the Zerodha user password. And once you have done that, you want to submit it because there's a submit or login icon here. So if I want to look the XPath of login icon, I can just do copy XPath. So this will be submit is equals to web driver wait driver 10 dot until lambda find element by XPath. We'll just paste the XPath here, which is this one. And for submit, we just want to click on submit. We do not want to pass any keys. Okay. So let's see if that happens. If I just run that code right now, and look at that, it just did that, and now it's asking me for the pin. So this was the older login flow. We do not want to give it the pin right now. So let's set up the 2FA first, and then we'll come back to this. Okay. So if I go to kite.zerodha.com, log in again. 694469. And now if I go to this profile section, my profile, and then go to password and security, you'll see the option to enable two-factor OTP. So just click on enable two-factor OTP. This will send out an email to yourself. Give it the OTP 012625 verify that, and this will generate a QR code for you. Now you see the small option here, can't scan copy the key. Oops, can't scan copy the key. So if I click here, it gives me this particular key which gets copied onto my clipboard. Now let me just paste this key here. Okay. Oops. Okay, so this is my TOTP key. What you should also do is go to your Google Authenticator app if you don't have it already. Scan this QR code there as well. And if you already had a 2FA setup, just replace it. If you did not, then it will just add for you and show you the the 30-second time OTPs now. So let's try and match the time OTP that we are getting out of the Google Authenticator app via our Python code. So this makes it very easy with the PyOTP module. Sorry. What we'll do is basically for to generate this particular time based OTPs. This is a secret key which is like which is a time based key. At any instance when you're running this on your Google Authenticator app, the key on your side, which is the client side, and on the server side will match completely at the same time because they both share the same secret key. So somewhere on Zerodha servers, they run this, they store the key against each user account, and then we personally store the key with the Google Authenticator app when we scanned it. So it just took the key. So let's say if I want to match the particular this thing which I'm getting, the code, the 30-second code that I'm getting, what I'll do is TOTP. Let's say we are just creating a new, initializing the module pyotp.totp, and then we'll give it the key, so which is the Zerodha OTP key. Now if I just run this, let's see if I just see what happens. So this is like an TOTP object here. Now if I do auth key dot now, what is the current key or the TOTP that I need to enter? That's 580021. Now let's quickly see if it's matching what we have here. Let me just reinitialize this with the new key because I don't think so it took that. So it says 803430. Now I don't know if you can see this, but sorry, that's the same thing, 803430. It's gonna change any second now. So it's 502248 now. If I rerun this thing, it's 502248. And that's pretty much it. You can basically generate that TOTP key within your Python code directly if you have that secret key from Zerodha. Okay, so now let's quickly just complete our registration for the TOTP, and then we'll just automate the other pieces. So it's so I'm just waiting for the new code to come up. So 105012 and then my password again, and the TOTP authentication is now successful. So let's now build the further section of this. So let's just reinitialize this thing. And actually, the video stopped in between. I didn't even realize, so I'm recording this for the second time. So you might see some code above, which we'll come to later on. And it's basically worked, and it has taken me to the authenticator TOTP section. So let's get the XPath of this particular thing. So we'll call this TOTP is equals to the same thing, WebDriver.wait, and let's get the XPath, inspect, XPath, copy, okay, and then TOTP dot send keys. We need to send it the auth key dot now, which is the current TOTP based on the secret key that we have provided, okay, and then finally we need to click on the submit button. So let me just copy this whole thing again. Submit underscore button is equals to this thing, and inspect, copy, copy XPath, and submit underscore button dot click. Okay, and let me just run this two things again. And you see it has put in the authenticated TOTP and submitted, and has redirected to the Trade with Python URL, which I've set up during my registration. And in this URL, you see there is an access token, the request token, which we need to give the generate session to finally give us the kite object. So how do we get the request token out of this URL? So first, what we'll do is get the current URL. So driver.current URL, and then let's just look at the URL, what it looks like. So it looks exactly the same thing. Now in this, we need to get this request token here. So let's just split this URL at the request token. So we will split this particular URL into this section and this section. Okay. Request token, and let's just name it initial token is equals to this. And let's now look at the initial token list. So we have split it into two different sections as we mentioned. Now we need the second section which has the request token actually. So let's just say initial token is this. Now in this initial token, we can split it again on AND, which will separate it into this part, the first part till the end, and then the second part which is from the action. So if I split it on AND, it has this just isolates the request token in the very first you know item of that list. So let's just call this request token is equals to this. Okay. And if I look at my request token now, that's it. At this point of time, I do not need this Chrome driver instance. So I'll just close this driver.close, and that should close the Chrome for me. Okay. Now next, what we need to do is give this request token to the kite objects. So I'll just copy this from here. Sorry. Uh, let's just put this in different cells so you get a better idea. So let's just connect to Kite via our API key and then generate our session. So it has generated the session. Let's look at what data looks like first. So data looks all the details. We need this access to this access token here. So we'll just set the kite set access token to data access token. And if I now try and get, let's say, my holdings in my account, I can just do kite.holdings and then get all my holdings. If I try and get my profile, I can get my profile. So that means our login is successful and it's working. As a final step, let's just convert this into a function which I have already done for you. So let's call it login in Zerodha. It takes the API key, the API secret, user ID, user password, and TOTP key. We actually don't need to give it API secret. So API key, user ID, user password, and TOTP key. Uh, First, we initialize the Chrome driver, then we get that URL. Oops. Then we log in with the user ID and password and click on submit. And then we generate the auth key based on our TOTP secret key. Give that current TOTP 6-digit code and then login using the continue button. Then we add a sleep time of 5 seconds. Why I have added that here is once you click on submit on the Zerodha login page, it takes roughly around 2 to 3 seconds to redirect it to the redirect URL that you mentioned. In my case, it's tradewithpython.com. So I've just put in that sleep time there. If you don't put this and just directly get the current URL while it is still loading, it will not contain the request token and it will fail for you. So it's better to put in some sleep time and then wait for that request token to generate. Once you have got that request token to generate, we're just isolating that in the URL that we have got by the split function, closing the Chrome driver, and then just setting the access token and generating the session and returning that object. So if I have to try this now, login. So let's just call the return as the kite object and then login in Zerodha and then just give it all the information that it needs. Uh, yeah, I need to run this cell. Oh, what's happening? Yeah, so now it's working. And automatically generate the TOTP. That's it. Went to trade with Python, got the request URL, and done. This function is complete in 13 seconds. If I have to then now look at my holdings or profile, let's say, it's working. So that's like successful login flow for Zerodha with the new TOTP function. Again, quick disclaimer, this is only for educational purposes. You are using this at your own risk. By the way, all the code is already available on GitHub if you would like to see. And there is an article which I wrote on it last night, which is on tradewithpython.com. The code is available here as well, and there are detailed instructions if something was unclear in this video. There in the end there is a code like link to GitHub. Just go to this link and get access to this script by which you can directly log in into Zerodha. Thank you so much for watching. Have a good day.